One morning, Steve the groundskeeper came to Justin's room and woke him up very early, asking if he wanted a job. Justin was short on cash and decided it was probably a good idea. Justin headed out to Steve's basketball court with a leaf blower and some cones. He then began to set up the cones. Look at him go. Returning to the leaf blower, he revved it up only to find that it was completely broken. How disappointing. Poor Justin. This is Mariah. Mariah is very lazy and can't find a job. However, she's broke, and so she is taken to sitting around with this sign that says, "Will work for wine." Oh, look at this. Steve is a very nice boss, and he gave Justin a rake instead of the leaf blower while he goes to fix it. Now Justin will rake the leaves. Can't have a nice basketball court if it's got leaves on it. It was a really hot day. Not the kind of day you'd want to wear a jacket while raking leaves. Meanwhile, Mariah decided to reposition herself in a field next to a brightly colored bush, in case anyone passed by offering her a job. She brought her basketball in case she got bored, which she definitely did. But no one came. Meanwhile, Justin was still hard at work, raking this pile of gravel. Steve, the groundskeeper, decided to head into the marketplace to find some other workers. This is where he met Corey. Corey agreed to work with him, and when he asked the others if they wanted a job, they not so politely refused. Therefore, Corey was taken away from this group of lazy people in order to be trained in the art of groundskeeping. Here are some joggers. Steve quickly put Corey to work shoveling the pile of gravel that Justin had just raked. It seems redundant, but Steve must have known what he was doing. Oh, look at this, it's Mariah. Hopefully she'll be getting a job offer soon. They got the leaf blower fixed, and Steve decided to give it to Corey. Meanwhile, Justin continued working very hard with the rake, just like he had been doing before. Mariah found another place to look for work. As you can see, she's working very hard. She was beginning to be discouraged in this job search that consisted of her laying on things with this sign. But just in her moment of despair, Steve came and offered her a job after all. She was excited, she threw away her sign and followed him. Justin was about to take the tractor out for some more hard work in the last hour of the day. But then Steve decided to just let Mariah do what Justin was about to do. Mariah got on the tractor, and Steve instructed her on what to do and where to go. That way. Mariah was excited to drive the tractor, and she sped off into the distance. It wasn't long before it was time to come back. Mariah had only worked 1 hour, but she was done. The boys were still working hard raking the basketball court, and Mariah decided it was time to play. Justin was not okay with this. He rebuked her loudly and threw her basketball. Then he kicked the leaves because he was angry. Mariah was intimidated by his aggression and continued raking the leaves. Shortly thereafter, the workday was over. Here is Steve hard at work in his office, making important phone calls, signing important pieces of paper with important pens that he stole from important hotels. Here come the workers to collect their wages. Mariah received her paycheck for her 1 hour of work.
Partying, 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 partying.
Here comes Corey. Steve gives him his paycheck, and he looks at it just to realize that he got the same amount of money that Mariah did, even though he had worked longer. And finally Justin, who had been working since the crack of dawn. When he received his paycheck, he saw that it was the same that Mariah and Corey got. Once again, he was angry. He told Steve that this really wasn't fair, since Mariah had only worked 1 hour, and they got the same wages. But Steve said that they had agreed on wages earlier in the morning when he hired him, so take what you deserve and go. You see, the moral of the story is that Steve owned the basketball court and he owned the money that he was giving the workers. So really it was just up to him what he decided to do with it. It wasn't his fault that the workers thought it was unfair what he chose to do with his money. Here's Quebec.
Steve wasn't doing anything wrong. He had agreed to pay Justin something at the beginning of the day, and that was what Justin agreed to. He agreed to pay Mariah something at the end of the day, and that is what she agreed to. It's his choice what he wants to do with his money. In the same way, this story is like the kingdom of heaven. If you are saved at a young age and spend your life serving God, and if you get saved on your deathbed, if God decides that you are going to heaven, that's his to decide.
Make money, money, make money, money, money. Save money, money, save money, money, money.
Left high school at 16, pick an identity, entrepreneur dreams, Find yourself a strategy. Next Saturday, the class of '97 is graduating. In a couple of years, I'll grab a GED. As for now, we'll just make ends meet. Put a R in the place where it's forced to succeed. The place where your hobbies and the real world meet. 40-minute walks to work, to bus tables full time with a pair of headphones on to block out traffic going by. 40 back to make music all night with a pair of headphones on to block out my life. Open mic nights, let the spit fly. 100 hands reaching for the chance to try. And maybe I grew up a bit too quick. It can't be all about the music, admit it.
So if you make money, money, make money, money, money.
Make money, money, make money, money, money.
You gotta save money, money, save money, money, money.
Save money, money, save money, money, money.
It goes fast, no cash.
We used to shop discount racks for brand name specials. Mix and match designer scraps to look presentable. Hated on those who appeared more successful. Sloppy and broke but came to look cause it was affordable. Before it was fashionable. Now kids pay good money to look poor and get charged for the extra work. A perfectly placed character. Isn't that some irony? Expensively indie.
Make money, money.